and welcome to the Weekend Wrap-Up. I'm Jurnee Taylor. Another election is in the books. Former President Donald Trump is now once again president-elect. Trump declared victory early Wednesday morning after winning the needed 270 Electoral College votes. His opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, called and congratulated him the next day before addressing the nation and her followers. The next day, President Joe Biden spoke to voters on both sides of the polarizing election season and promised a peaceful transfer of power. President Biden also invited President-elect Trump to the White House for a meeting about the upcoming transition, a process the Trump team has already started from West Palm Beach. Staying on Capitol Hill, Arkansas's 4 U.S. congressmen will return to Washington, D.C. for another 4 years. In case you missed it, Democrat Marcus Jones was unable to unseat French Hill in the 2nd District. Rick Crawford also defended his spot from 2 opponents in the 1st District. Over in District 4, Bruce Westerman won his election against Risey Howard. And Steve Womack will continue to represent the people of Northwest Arkansas. And for 5 years, judges and politicians have been debating who should build a casino in Polk County. This week, voters said nobody will, at least for now. Voters backed Issue 2 on Election Day, repealing the 4th Arkansas casino license slated for the River Valley. Carter Thweets found out what those would-be casino operators will do now.
The numbers look great, and we hope they hold up.
For Hans Sturitz and his group, local voters in charge, the numbers did hold up. Arkansans voted approximately 56-44 in favor of Issue 2, taking away the Pope County casino license and making any future casino licenses win local approval first.
We now have a provision in the state constitution that requires a local election to affirm a new casino license before that project can go forward going forward.
But on the other side, Pope County Judge Ben Cross, a casino supporter, pointed to the fact that while the state said yes to Issue 2, Pope County voted no by that same margin, 56-44.
The irony of it is the other side wanted a local vote, and the local vote was had tonight, and it said Pope County residents wanted this resort to come here.
So what if Pope County does still want a casino? Scott Harden with the Arkansas Racing Commission broke down what that process would look like for Pope County or any other now that Issue 2 has passed.
One, we'd have to have a casino group or company pursue getting it on the ballot, meaning they have to collect all the required signatures, successfully get it on the ballot. 2, Arkansans via a statewide vote would have to then approve that ballot initiative. And then 3, if that proposed casino was in your county, then you would then vote if you want it as a county.
Harden says that'll likely be a long process, including construction, 5 more years at the least. But it's one Cherokee Nation businesses who had the Pope County license might pursue. In a statement, their CEO Chuck Garrett said, "Though this outcome alters our immediate path, we will continue to defend our investment and protect the license we fairly earned and were afforded through the Constitution." Carter Thweet, THV11 News.
9 out of 10 Arkansas voters managed to agree on one thing this election cycle. Trade schools are important, and students should have the same access to lottery scholarship money. That's exactly what will happen now that Issue 1 is on its way to becoming law. Rebecca Brown examines how quickly lottery scholarships for Votech students will have an impact on our state.
This is a life changer for Arkansas residents.
The future is bright for those interested in attending a trade school after Arkansans overwhelmingly voted in favor of Issue 1, something that even took our experts by surprise.
That is just really something. I was just thinking through when that number popped up, I'm like, it could be, puppies for everybody. You never see 90%.
It's a cake and ice cream vote right there.
Issue 1 allows Arkansas Lottery Scholarship funds to go towards vocational and technical schools. Trinity Deemer, a student at the Arkansas Welding Academy, says it's a change she's proud to see.
I thought it was really great because I've heard friends talk about wanting to go to welding school, but they're like, that's so expensive.
But now with more resources, Deemer says more women can have an opportunity.
To backfeed, you're gonna have your TIG rig down here. I'm also a first-generation welder in my family. My uncle that passed thought I'd be good at it, so I thought in high school I'd give it a try, and turned out I was actually pretty okay.
Director Alice Obenchain says their school has around 125 students enrolled, and they expect more after this year.
So I definitely see that in-demand career field even, it's just going to snowball and grow out of control in a good way.
Obenchain hopes with the measure passing, the Arkansas Challenge considers a few things when creating the criteria for trade schools.
What we're looking at is work ethic. We're looking at physical and mental capabilities. GPA really doesn't play a role in this. ACTs definitely don't play a role in this. So as long as you're a resident, I'd like to see that being and need-based, definitely eligible for the Arkansas Lottery Scholarship.
In Jacksonville, Rebecca Brown, THV11 News.
We now know who will take the center seat on the state's highest court. Justice Karen Baker is the state's next Chief Justice, making history. She defeats her colleague on the court, Justice Rhonda Wood. Michaela Johnson followed this race closely, and she shows us what's next and how law experts say the outcome is a little surprising.
I would expect that Arkansans, being largely Republican, would want to vote for someone with a conservative judicial philosophy. Turns out they did not.
Justice Karen Baker securing the Chief Justice seat, replacing Dan Kemp when he resigns. Her name now ingrained in state history as the first woman ever elected to the position. Law professor Robert Steinbuck surprised by the sway of voters.
Justice Karen Baker is a bit of an enigma. She doesn't really seem to campaign, and she seems to win over and over again.
Justice Baker positioned herself as the frontrunner with more than 50% of the vote. While not the same odds, it resembles the primary, where Baker had a slight lead over Justice Rhonda Wood, then two. Wood will keep her current associate justice seat on the court, and in a personal statement on Facebook, she thanked her supporters, saying in part, "Please know I am at peace. That is because this was never about me, but about the court as a whole. I look forward to continuing to serve as your justice the next 6 years. Much love to you all." And with all said and done, at the end of this runoff, what does this new role mean for Justice Baker?
It's largely an administrative position. It's more about how the court system operates, how you file cases, and other innovations like that.
Justice Baker's win opens her seat on the court, and GOP Governor Sarah Sanders must appoint a new judge.
Obviously, the governor will appoint a conservative because the governor is a conservative. So that's going to leave five justices who are conservative and two justices who are liberal.
For the most part, Steinbuck says Arkansans won't see much of a difference when it comes to the outcome of cases, but they may be more predictable with a court majority of conservative judicial philosophies.
Conservatives tend to hew more directly towards the language of a statute, and liberals tend to have a broader view as to the project they're undertaking in interpreting laws.
Michaela Johnson, THV11 News.
This week's race was a runoff. Back in March, voters also elected to allow Justice Courtney Hudson to switch positions on that court. That creates a second vacancy that Governor Sanders will get to fill before January. Well, turning now to a situation we've seen before. A push to raise Little Rock's sales tax shot down by voters. Ashley Godwin sat down with the mayor and vice mayor this week to hear what's next after the latest loss.
Voters turned down the tax once again. Now the city is going back to the drawing board as they plan funding for the next year.
I'm disappointed that it didn't pass. We had a lot of really good things in there, things that we need.
After having unanimous support from the board of directors, city directors, and police and fire unions, Little Rock voters said no to a 1% sales tax increase. There were two questions on the ballot, a 3/8 tax and a 5/8 tax. Both of them voted down with a similar margin of about 60% to 40%. Mayor Frank Scott Jr. says he heard from some people on why they didn't vote for it.
As I was out and about at the polling locations, I had several voters who I know are strong supporters of mine who came up to me, gave me a hug, and talked about how good they believe the city is doing in the right direction, but they just couldn't fathom an additional penny during this time because of the economy.
The tax would have generated $65 million over a 10-year span. Now that the city doesn't have that additional funding, they're going back to the drawing board to adjust.
But I plan to prepare a balanced budget as I've done the past 5 years.
But will the city try again to introduce a tax increase to the people of Little Rock? Vice Mayor Webb says it would take some work before that could be considered again.
First of all, to go to our residents now and really have to have some deep conversations about why they didn't support it, what they would want to support. And I think we have to look back at the last time we were able to pass a sales tax and say, how did they do that?
In Little Rock, Ashley Godwin, THV11 News.
We have even more results from races across the state right now on THV11.com. Our election voter guide is now our election results guide. You can text the word results to 501-376-1111, and the link to the page will be sent straight to your phone. We have results for not just the White House and congressional district races, but state representatives from districts all over the state. All you have to do is just text us the word results. The concession speech has been part of our elections for more than 200 years. Still ahead, we're taking a look at the history of the tradition and why it's a crucial part of the democratic process. Donald Trump won the presidential election, but some people are asking how that can be if there are still millions of votes left to count. Brandon Lewis from our National Verify team looks into the vote counts.
Viral posts on Wednesday claimed millions of votes for president are unaccounted for and are questioning how Donald Trump can already be the projected winner. But are these votes really unaccounted for? Let's verify. Our sources are an analysis of the Associated Press's vote total estimate, the Federal Election Commission, and the University of Florida's Election Lab. We reviewed state-by-state data from the Associated Press and found the votes discussed in the viral posts weren't unaccounted for. They just hadn't been counted yet. As of Wednesday afternoon, poll workers still needed to count more than 16 million ballots. 80% of them were cast in these 6 states, and 5 of them are states that Kamala Harris is already projected to win, so it doesn't change the Electoral College. The exception is in Arizona, which could go either way, but since Trump is already so far ahead in other states, even if Harris were to win Arizona, it wouldn't make a difference in the race. So, no, there are not millions of votes unaccounted for. UF Election Lab estimates show turnout was about the same as 2020, where around 2 in 3 eligible Americans voted. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
A concession speech delivered by the losing candidate is a patriotic tradition, almost as old as the nation itself. As we saw this week with Vice President Kamala Harris, it often represents the most difficult moment of a politician's career. But as Mark Strassman shows us, it also serves as part of the bedrock of our democratic process.
We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again.
We've just watched a two-part, two-speech American ritual. Donald Trump savored his undeniable triumph.
While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
But Kamala Harris had, in many ways, the tougher speech to give. She had to concede, a moment that demanded patriotism despite personal pain.
Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory.
Words matter. Tone matters for a peaceful transfer of power.
If you make the argument that I didn't lose, then that undercuts trust in our electoral system.
At the University of Georgia, Professor Charles Bullock has studied elections for nearly 60 years.
Like any kind of sporting event, you may go away and say, well, there were some calls that went against us that shouldn't have, but you get beyond it.
Sends a needed signal.
It's all over. Don't keep fighting.
In 1960, John F. Kennedy beat Richard Nixon with widespread allegations of vote fraud in Texas and Chicago. Nevertheless, Nixon conceded.
Once the decision is made, we unite behind the man who was elected.
It was a moment where Nixon put
country above self.
Right. It was very much of a noble moment. Yeah, he did not continue to fight it.
In 2000, George Bush beat Al Gore by just one electoral college vote after the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, stopped Florida's recount.
While I strongly disagree with the court's decision, I accept it. I say to President-elect Bush that what remains of partisan rancor must now be put aside.
John McCain conceded the 2008 election.
I had the honor of calling Senator Barack Obama to congratulate him. Please.
Beginning in 1896, every presidential election, 31 straight, ended with a loser conceding, often with a simple congratulations, always for the good of the country. More than a century of political goodwill and grace, until 4 years ago.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
But rules can have exceptions. After the 2020 election, we saw what happens when the exception rules. Mayhem, the fraying of our democratic traditions.
Maybe that becomes the norm, and so even if you're running for county commission and you don't win, you don't concede.
Refusing to concede can metastasize.
It does.
In the system.
It does, right.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results.
The hope, the country will unify. The worry, what happens if it doesn't. For Eye on America, Mark Strassman in Athens, Georgia.
All right, well, let's end the show with something inspirational. Coming up, we're sharing a family story that may have some of you saying, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it.
That tastes like home. That's exactly what that tastes like. Woo, it is good. This week we're in Pine Bluff at T's place, might as well be Aubrey's place because she's riding her bike left and right. Y'all, she's the granddaughter of the owner here at T's place. This family spot has been serving up the Pine Bluff community for years. They got omelets the size of your head. They have amazing lunch specials and some of the best pie you will ever try in the state of Arkansas. So what do you say? Let's eat it up. So, T's place, how did it come about and this amazing spot here in Pine Bluff?
It was all in regards to my mother-in-law. You know, she passed away a few years ago, and it was initially Ann's Cafe. We've been here about 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, in 2017 we changed it to T's place, kind of like leaving that era for her.
You've been through it. You've got this amazing place, but also you've been through a fire, through a toaster.
A toaster. It came out to about middle of the restaurant, but fire is nothing, it's the smoke. So we gutted it, kills it, repainted it, put a whole new ceiling, everything. And there were people in here with tears because it's like you don't really realize that sometimes you are their food source.
Yeah.
It's just home. It's home.
Are you chicken spaghetti ready? Because that's a big time special here at T's. Oh, y'all, I've been fired up. The steam coming off this chicken spaghetti. Woo!
Here's the thing about our menu. There's a lot of stuff we do that's not even on there.
Okay.
We've got people, they come in, we've got an array of spices back there that belongs to everybody. But hey, you know, the cheeseburger with the slap your mama on it, we cook for everybody. Our Western omelet is our biggest seller. So it's a 3-egg omelet, and it's Swiss and American cheese. It's all of our meats, all of our vegetables, everything goes in there. Does that work? You want me to go ahead and do that
Bring
now?
it. Come on.
I got you. I'll be right back.
Woo! It's about that big. I could not wait to dive in. This is my kind of breakfast right here. We talked about all those cheese, the 3-egg omelet with all that cheese and ham in there. Come on. And you get the hash browns, and you get the amazing toast. You gotta come to T's and try that. That is amazing. I'm a tough hash brown critic, pretty excited to see what T's has got to bring to the table. It's the crunch at first. I absolutely love the crunch on the hash browns. Those are excellent. We got the blackberry pie, we got the cherry pie, peanut butter pie with some Reese's Puffs on there. I mean, come on. Aubrey's making the lap. She's been riding so long, we've gone from breakfast to dinner. What do you think of this?
When you hear McDonald's, most of us don't immediately think delivery, but that's the case for one Minnesota family. Boyd Hubert takes us to the land of 10,000 stories for a unique birthday party lit up by the Golden Arches.
Orders are up. McDonald's built a reputation on food delivered fast. Run it up. But this is a story about a different McDonald's delivery.
When I threw open the door,
what a sight it was.
Angie Creer was a Centennial Lakes police officer 10 years ago when a call came in for assistance.
Hello.
At this Lino Lakes McDonald's.
Oh my gosh!
A pregnant woman, her husband, and mother had been driving north on I-35 when she felt the need to use a bathroom.
Notoriously, McDonald's has really clean bathrooms.
The lure that brought Claire and Eric Evenson here.
Then went and used the bathroom and quite literally sat down and 2 little feet popped out.
Claire's delivery was arriving 12 weeks early.
Welcome to McDonald's.
Breach.
Anything else for you?
While still in the parking lot, her mom became concerned.
As soon as we got out of the car, we could hear the screaming. And so then we ran in and...
Eric helped move Claire,
Yeah.
a registered nurse, to the bathroom floor as Angie arrived.
I just started barking orders.
I do remember, Officer Angie and my mom helping me deliver Eleanor. And, once she was out, Officer Angie and I working together to help resuscitate her.
When she arrived at the hospital, Eleanor weighed just 2 pounds. Her birth earned a headline in the Star Tribune. But Eleanor's recovery lingered far beyond the time frame of breaking news.
She was in the NICU for 113 days.
I think we were readmitted a dozen times.
She had nurses at home until she went to kindergarten.
A chromosome abnormality meant multiple surgeries and years of therapy.
Good job!
As Eleanor grew, her parents shared the story of her birth.
I think it's special to me because I'm the only one in my family who was born at a McDonald's.
So with a big birthday coming up,
Very excited to be 10.
Should we go inside?
Eleanor's parents thought it might be time
Yeah.
for a family field trip.
Yeah, our first day. They were funny on the corner. I see it.
Their first trip back to the McDonald's where Eleanor's story began.
Happy birthday!
What better place
I love you.
for her party?
Happy birthday!
Grandparents
I love you too.
and cousins
Can you get a picture?
and someone else
Oh, that was so nice.
who had a role to play.
Hi, birthday girl! How are you?
Officer Angie,
Yes, how you are?
honorary member of the family
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Need a large fry.
that's feasting today on memories.
We had 2 separate ambulances. I went in one and he and Eleanor went in another.
I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a cop. But she's my success.
Can everyone say cheese to mommy?
This time, McDonald's also delivered cake
It's a purse.
and a present.
That is so cool.
Thanks, guys.
I suppose you would remember somebody giving birth in your McDonald's, but they were so kind and so welcoming, and we sort of now have destroyed the place twice.
Happy birthday, dear Eleanor.
And maybe they'll be back. Next year, after all, is Eleanor's
Happy birthday,
golden birthday.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's it for the weekend wrap up. Thank you for joining us here on THV11 Plus. We'll see you next week.